Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have a Maran Titanium TI 136. We have a Majohn P139 in orange. We have another Maran P139 in white. We have a classic pen CP5 in the vintage, a classic pen CP5 in the modern. We have a Montblanc Writer's Edition, and this is the Robert Louis Stevenson. We have a Montblanc Around the World in 80 Days, and this is a special edition. We have an Anoto Rosetta Stone. We have an Anoto, and this is the Great Roof of Vitreous from the British Museum. And we have an Anoto Coronation in sterling silver. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up in a little bit more detail. So this is the Maron Titanium TI 136. There's so many numbers on these Majohns that you have to remember. Not just the numbers, it's TI for titanium, P for piston, V for vac. It's a bit of a plethora, but once you start to master it, it's not too bad. So this is essentially a Montblanc Martelet copy or clone, but this is quite an interesting pen. I really do love this hammered effect going on. They do a brushed titanium version, and then they do this hammered titanium version. But the hammered one really is what took my liking to it, and really have to say I am impressed with the workmanship on the pen. It is a piston filling pen. It is made of titanium. You do have the sort of Montblanc-esque ink window there as well. The only difference is that you have a lemon nib, and the extra fine and fine do come with a Majohn nib. But for some reason, the medium nibs, the sellers are providing with a lemon nib. I don't understand the reason why or the reason behind that, other than maybe lemon is a sub-brand of Majohn. I really don't know. I'm really not up on the Chinese manufacturers. But you can see in the size of my hand, it's quite a decent size. You can post the cap. It will post deeply. It does grip onto the piston knob. So there is also, I find, a little bit of a play on this piston knob, a little bit like I do have on like some of my like my Montblanc 146. So when you post that on there, it will twist. So you do have to be a little bit careful putting posting that cap and unposting that cap, because you could start to eject ink. But this is quite a nice pen. Glad that I added it to my collection. Still haven't bought a second one, and I am resisting buying a second one. I kind of feel that having another one but in brushed titanium would be nice to have the set, but I'm not that enamored with the brushed titanium look, and I really would like another hammered one. But that said, I don't need another one, and so I am resisting on that one. The next one here inked up is a Majohn titanium, sorry, not titanium, a Majohn P139. See, I did say that once you've mastered this, it's easy. No, it's not. This reminds me very much of the clip is a sort of vintage Montblanc clip. I think, I originally thought that this was like a Delta Dolce Vita knockoff, but now seeing the plain orange here, I kind of think it's a Montblanc Writer's Edition Hemingway knockoff or copy or clone. You have an ink window there, and you can see the ink there sloshing around. It came with a number 6 size nib originally being sold. I bought this one with a number 8 size nib. You can see a little bit of, I want to say ink, but that's really more water evaporation from the ink. I'm just going to wipe that off there, off that nib. But it's a very large, it's more than a number 8 size nib. They say it's a number 8 or number 9. I think it's a number 9 or 10. You can post the cap. Again, though, you've got to be a little bit careful. That does grip a little bit onto the piston there. So that is some of the downsides with piston filling pens. If you're posting them, you do need just to be a little bit more cautious when doing so. I'm liking that pen. The nib did come a little bit scratchy on the diagonal up to the right, so I did smooth it out. I did make the nib right a bit wetter because it was quite dry. I do kind of wish, though, it was a crushed ice orange effect on that material. I think they're going for the copy of the Montblanc, in which case that's fine. But I think I would have liked that with a crushed ice orange effect, which would have made it a little bit more like a Dolce Vita or an Aurora, the orange Aurora version. Now, the white one I do like a little bit more. So again, this is a Majohn P139. It's not really a cracked ice effect. It's more of a glittery white. But it is quite nice. And you do see Majohn there on the back of the pen. Well, it's actually Moonman, because Moonman was the original name for Majohn. And then they changed it to Majohn. And if I unscrew that again, I did get a number 8 size nib on this one. So you can see there, say 8, it's probably a 9 or a 10 again. But it is a large nib. And again, you can post the cap on this. I think it makes it a lot more sizable in my hand. Again, the cap does post onto the back of that piston, so you do have to be careful. But even without posting the cap, it's still a pretty good size. It's quite a thick pen, quite a large nib there. I don't feel the need to post that cap, but I'm a little bit more inclined to do so. It's not short for me, the pen on its own, the body, but it's still, I don't know, it just feels right to post that cap. The next pen inked up is the Classic Pen CP5. I purchased this at the London Pen Show in March this year. I purchased the Vintage, which is this one, and then the Modern, which is this one. Strictly not a set in terms of the limited edition number. They are different numbers, but still pretty nice though. It comes with a number 6 size Parker nib there. And it's a medium nib. It's a cartridge converter pen, and you can post that cap, but it is massively back weighted. So I really do not want to be posting that, because this is sterling silver, so it's a lot of silver. You can see in that cap there. That's a lot of silver. So it is going to back weight that pen a lot. It is a cartridge converter, so yeah, it's not a pen that you really would want to try and post. I'm also glad that I picked up the Modern, and to be honest, I still prefer the Modern over the Vintage. I think it's because it's more of a brighter silver, where this is more of a, I want to say like a goldy silver. I have polished it up, but it kind of reflects the gold quite a lot, the gold trim. But this is the Modern version of the Classic Pen CP5. These are made by Parker, and again, another Parker nib there, and it is a medium nib. But again, a cartridge converter, you can post the cap, but it's hugely back weighted. It's not something you're going to want to do. I like that these are cartridge converters. I like that I can replace those converters nice and easily. Whereas if it was, I don't know, let's say a piston or a power vac or even a sack, a pneumatic filling mechanism, then you would struggle to do that. Most people would probably struggle to do that themselves, and they'd have to send it away to a pen repairer. So I do like the ability to have a cartridge converter in a pen. And I know a lot of people say, but you shouldn't have a cartridge converter in a pen over a certain value. And yes, there is some thought pattern to that. But if you have a lot of pens, it's just a lot easier to maintain them, clean them out, and repair them with a cartridge converter pen. And I think they will last a lot longer. The next pen here is the Montblanc Writer's Edition, Robert Louis Stevenson, and this is in ode to Treasure Island. You've got the skull and crossbones, you've got the compass, you've got, I think, like a peg leg here. You've got the X for the map, and then you've got a larger X that marks the spot where the treasure is. You also have a telescope here in the blind cap or the piston knob. And then you've got a number 6 size 18 karat gold medium nib from Montblanc there. It's a decent size in my hand. Yes, you can't post the cap, but it's a decent size. So for me, it's not an issue. I remember in the early days, and still sometimes now, I will uncap a pen and I'll start writing with it, and I'll write maybe a page of a letter or a page in my journal or a notebook, and then I'll go to put the cap back on and I go, well, where's the cap? And in some cases the cap is rolling off of the desk, even if it's got a clip on it, which should stop it. Or it's just buried under some of the other paperwork I've got under my desk. And so, yes, I do get it that sometimes you want to post your cap because of that, not to lose the cap. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Around the World in 80 Days. And this is a wood pen. I want to say it's ebony. It's a black wood. You've got the Montblanc snow cap there. You've got a elephant here from the story Around the World in 80 Days. It really is quite a nice pen. You've got a number 6 size nib there. You've got an air balloon on that as well. It's a medium nib. Again, most of these Montblanc, either writer's editions or special editions, you cannot post the cap on. This is a beautiful pen. I like this a lot, and I still have this inked up this week as well. I do find the body is a little bit less deeply engraved than the cap on this one. And maybe that will soften and become even less over, or even less engraved over time, as your hand is constantly touching that body, perhaps. I don't know. I hope not. But there is no lacquer on this, so you do have to be a little bit careful. The next pen inked up is the Anoto, and this is the Rosetta Stone. You can see this here in all its beauty and glory. It really is good, and it does say on the cap band here, Rosetta Stone. You've got this, all these texts from the Rosetta Stone in the 3 different languages. So you've got some hieroglyphs up here, and then you've got some more writing here, and another language down here. It really is a beautiful pen. It's sterling silver. It's an aged look. I've got an Anoto number 7 size, 18 karat gold fine nib. You cannot really post the cap. It's not designed to do so. It is a cartridge converter. I know Anoto now are offering on a lot of their pens the ability to have the plunger filler. I don't know if that will take the plunger filler. I have not tried it. I do have some spare plunger fillers. I will have to try it at some point. But yeah, maybe I should do a video. I've not thought of this before, but maybe I should do a video, because I've got quite a lot of Anotos now, and see how many of them will fit the plunger filler. And see, that might be a good introduction video for Anoto. The next pen, I was going to pick up the same pen then, is the Anoto, and this is the British Museum Great Court Vitreous. You can see the skylight, window or ceiling roof there. It's very beautiful. It's a lovely sort of enamel engraved pattern. It's glassy smooth to the touch. So this is all under the enamel. Beautiful sort of Fabergé style enameling, or vitreous as they call it. I've got a number 7 size Anoto 18 karat gold fine nib on this one, and again, you can't really post the cap. It is a cartridge converter, sterling silver all through and through. It's a heavy pen. just like the Rosetta Stone. But I do like that pen. It is a lovely, lovely pen. So very glad that I was able to add that to my collection quite a while ago. And then the last pen inked up is the Anoto, and this is the King's Coronation pen. So King Charles III Coronation in sterling silver with gold trim. I think the gold trim really accentuates the silver on this pen, but the engraving on this pen is immaculate. Really is superb. I have to say, this is... I always thought that the Magna Carta, the Rosetta Stone, and the British Museum Great Court Vitreous were my prized possessions, but this is now certainly sort of up there now with those pens. Beautiful pen. I have to say, it again is a number 7 size Anoto 18 karat gold nib. I got this with a medium nib. It did come with a plunger filler. I've got a converter in there at the moment. I can post the cap on that one, but it's fairly back weighted, although there is a lot of silver there. So I think the silver balances out a little bit more, but it still is back weighted. So there you have it. That's my 10 pens currently inked for this week. I think let's now go and do a writing sample. So the first pen inked up today is the Maran Titanium TI 136. So I think let's do an ink swatch first. This was a blade nib. Well, I actually ordered it as a medium, but it came as a blade nib. I've since ground it a little bit more towards a medium architect and smoothed it out and made it a bit wetter. So this is the Majohn Titanium TI 136 in a medium steel nib. And the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey, which is a favourite grey of mine. I do like that ink, but I also do like how that pen writes now. The next pen inked up is a Majohn, and this is a P139 in orange. Now, this does have a number 8 size or 9 size nib. I did have to smooth this one out slightly because it was a little bit scratchy doing diagonal ups to the right. And I did make it a bit wetter as well. So this is the Majohn P139 in orange. It's a number 8 nib. And it is a medium. And it is a steel nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Ho Ho Ho. Not quite Christmas yet, but it is getting towards it. The next pen inked up is a Majohn P139 in white. So again, number 8 size nib. We'll do an ink swatch here. Now this one does still write a little bit towards... I want to say scratchy, but it's not scratchy. It's not as smooth, I should probably say. So this is the Majohn P139. Probably also needs... this is a dry ink, so that's probably why it's looking a little bit narrower in ink. It's the white. And it's number 8, and it's a medium. And it's a steel nib. And then the ink in here is Sailor, Shikiori, and it's Fuyu Shugata. I always have problems trying to spell that ink because it's a little bit sort of against what you might have in the Western world. The next pen is a Classic Pens CP5 in the vintage. We'll do an ink swatch here. And this, I'm just going to dip it in water because I've not written with this for a little while, and it just needs to be, the capillary action just needs to be restarted. Rather than shaking the pen, which is what I used to do for a couple of years when I started in the hobby, dipping it in an empty ink bottle of water is the best way. So this is the classic pens CP5 in the vintage, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib, and the ink in here is KWZ Old Smoke, which it is a dry writing ink, and I think that's why this pen typically dries out a little bit more than other pens. The next pen is the classic pen CP5 in the modern. We'll do an ink swatch here, but you can see there again that was railroading a little bit. So I'm just going to drop, maybe it's more the cap. So I've just dipped this in some water, and now that has really rejuvenated that ink, which has made it write a bit better. So this is the classic pens CP5 in the modern, in a medium 18 karat gold nib. And I just need to check the ink because I think it's Diamine Earl Grey, but that darkness of that ink is now making me think otherwise. Yeah, I was right. It is Diamine Earl Grey. And that's just how sometimes it can fool you. So it is Diamine Earl Grey. And typically in a lot of my pens, Earl Grey will be a lot lighter. That looked a little bit more towards like Diamine Graphite or KWZ Grey Lux. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition Robert Louis Stevenson. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And I can tell you that this is one of those inks that I just mentioned. So this is the Montblanc Robert Louis Stevenson. I'm going to abbreviate it to, because I won't have enough space otherwise. And it's a medium, and it is an 18 karat gold nib. And there you go. See, I wouldn't have got Writer's Edition in there. And this is Diamine Graphite, which is a nice ink. Normally that is actually darker than Earl Grey. But in this case, it certainly isn't. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Around the World in 80 Days. So we'll do another ink swatch here. And this is a lovely writing nib. So this is the Montblanc Around the World in 80 Days. And it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is Sailor Gentle Kinmakusai. I wanted to say apricot. It's the successor to Sailor Gentle Apricot, and it's almost identical. The next pen inked up is the Anoto Rosetta Stone. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is a fine nib, so it does take a little bit more to do that ink swatch. So this is the Anoto Rosetta Stone. And it's fine, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey. I know that one. But just as I write this, the Rosetta Stone, I was just thinking, I actually do have some really nice pens in my collection. And more lately, I've been going towards writing edition or writer's edition pens. I don't know if the Rosetta Stone and the Magna Carta really sort of caused that, but I have to say I'm liking more theme-related pens. The next pen inked up is the Anoto British Museum Great Court Vitreous. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And although this is a fine nib, the ink actually, or the nib actually works quite wetly, but the ink also helps. So this is an Anoto British Museum Great Court Vitreous. It's a fine and it's an 18-karat gold nib. And the ink in here is Venustus Aqua di Spargi. But that is a very nice blue turquoisey coloured ink. And then the last pen inked up is your Anoto Coronation in sterling silver. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And I can tell you this is exactly the same ink, just with a medium nib. So this is the Anoto Coronation sterling silver. The nib's a lot smoother being a medium, and it's an 18-karat gold nib. And then the ink, as I said, was Venustus Aqua di Spargi. But that is a beautiful turquoise ink. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. We have a Maran Titanium TI 136 in a medium steel nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have a Majohn P139 in the orange number 8 size nib in a medium steel nib inked up with Diamine Ho Ho Ho. We have a Majohn P139 in the white in a number 8 medium steel nib inked up with Sailor Shikiori Fuji Sugata. We have a classic pen CP5, and this is in the vintage in a medium 18-karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Old Smoke. We have a classic pens CP5 in the modern in a medium 18-karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have a Montblanc Robert Louis Stevenson in a medium 18-karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Graphite. We have a Montblanc Around the World in 80 Days in a medium 18-karat gold nib inked up with Sailor Gentle Kinmokusai. We have an Anoto Rosetta Stone in a fine 18-karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have a Anoto British Museum Great Court Vitreous in a fine 18-karat gold nib inked up with Venustus Aqua di Spargi. And we have an Anoto Coronation in sterling silver in a medium 18-karat gold nib inked up with Venustus Aqua di Spargi again. So there you have it. That's my currently inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye-bye.